Hi everyone, Mature Simmer here. Late spring, bit of a shower, but nothing we need to do should cause us any problems with that. So let's see. According to this, the pH value still shows good. I guess I'll have to check the other fields. Maybe 97, 98, and 89 need some. I don't know. Or maybe I'm just off. But I'm thinking what may have happened that got twisted in my mind is when I started to harvest the hemp, I needed lime. And then had issues after. I don't know. We'll see. So maybe I don't have any problem this year. So I think just because I'm going to go ahead and do barley this time. Just haven't done that in a long time. Not really a reason not to do it. So I'm going to go ahead and choose that as the crop that's going in for whatever I plant. And I'm still sticking with whatever I plant because right now it took me, I only had a few hours yesterday to do any work, so I was definitely limited in what I was able to do. So yeah, I guess I'll drive up, get fertilizer, get oats. I'll check 89 as I pass as far as the lime state, because it's niggling away at the back of my head. Oh wait, I have lime or fertilizer in the auger wagon. That's right, that's what I had done. Because I was like, oh, now I need fertilizer and... Alright, so this is it. I need lime on these fields. So before I do any work there, I'll have to lime them, or sometime before the crop comes due. But no, I should have what I need. To get going here, and we'll start with that. So we'll switch to barley. And I'm going to go ahead, I guess, and line up, and then I'll bring my stuff over to fill me out. Because it's just easier for tracking to start full. Close. Close, but not close enough. Let's see. Move it this way. Now we're a little too far over. Put it there. And we should be good. Alright, I definitely lowered down. Let me grab my truck, get my seeds. So yeah, I had 3-4 hours yesterday. Not quite sure that I'm going to have much more than that today. I may not even get all the fields planted in that time, the 4 that I have here. So that's where I'm struggling about. Am I just gonna have enough time now. The good news is I do have the weekend coming up, starting tomorrow. So in theory, I can... Oh shoot, this is lime. Ay, ay, ay. Alright, well, I just gotta go swap this out for seed. So there is a little bit of logistics here. And we'll cover it up just so that the rain doesn't cake up the lime. Hate for that to happen. It gets stuck in the trailer. Then I'm wasting time washing all that. Whoops. I just love when it gets super sensitive on the steering and you barely touch anything and it goes crazy. So yeah, in the real world here, we finally got our first significant enough snow that I got the snowblower out and used it. But it's snowing hard enough that I'm going to have to clear it every time anybody leaves today, and I've got people leaving, 2 more people leaving the house at various points in the morning here, several hours apart, so the likelihood of not having to go clear the driveway 2 more times, it's just a matter of whether I'm going to use a shovel or run the snowblower again. But the likelihood of not having to do that at least once, because by the time I came in it was already kind of covered anyway, is pretty much 0. So and I think we might have some snow tomorrow, but I don't know that we've got anywhere specific that we're going tomorrow, so we'll see. Let's see. There we go. Hello. Don't roll. Sometimes the truck won't roll at all. Sometimes it rolls like it's on magically lubricated bearings. It's crazy. Anyway, alright. So lime back in. And now we'll come and we'll get some seeds. And since we topped everything off, or, you know, added quite a bit, should have plenty. Oops, it's only giving me lime right now. I guess I need to move forward a bit. There we go. So we'll get the seeds in here, and we'll begin our spring planting. So at this point, especially by the time this episode airs, everybody should be well into the new year, so hopefully everything's going as you had planned. I know there's still many people having some challenges. I had someone I knew from my church had a relative pass away from COVID, so they're having a funeral today, so there's definitely still a lot of that in the world. So hopefully you're not experiencing any of those items right now, and you're just here watching a farming simulator video, trying to have fun, relax, enjoy yourself. Whatever reason you're here, I thank you. And if you like what you're seeing and want more of it, subscribe and like, and certainly comment below and let me know. So yeah, there's a little bit of me that wants to get to 97 here and plant this season, because I want to see if getting rid of those trees was as helpful as I thought it was going to be in straightening out the field. So, and if we don't get to it this year, the field will still be here next year. So, and with the pace things are going, we will be here next year as well, because still no maps of interest that have been released for FS22, there was the first 4X map I saw, which is one of the sizes we want, but flat as a board. And pretty much rectangular fields. Visually they're separated by trees, but it's pretty cookie cutter looking to some degree. I mean, some of the fields are rectangular and rotated a bit, so they're not, you know, on a 90 or 180 degree plane, but they're still rectangular when you're working them. And honestly, that probably also means it might be harder to snap your GPS to them. So it might be more entertainment than it's worth for kind of very little benefit. But once again, the flatness was one that wasn't calling to me. But it's a map that's set in Germany. But it's pretty big, so I don't know that I would say it's an American map that exists in Europe, but because it still definitely has a European flair and flavor to it. But, whoops, that was a little more bumpy than I would have liked. Luckily, nothing happened. Should be able to fill this without having to do anything other than drive near it, because the arm is long enough that you can get there. At least usually it is. It's going to prove me wrong, isn't it? Wow. Alright, well, let's see. I can get there some way, so there we go. So, top ourselves off. I'm going to get us out of here, because I've got to get the fertilizer here. Now the fertilizer, unfortunately, can't be done without being folded because the auger wagon is too short. So even though I lowered this, I'm going to have to fold myself back up. So, yep. And now I'm going to have to... So, best laid plans again. If you remember, I put this spreader in front of that saying I won't need that until I need the spreader, so this is a good place to put it. And lo and behold, I was wrong. Because I forgot that my seeder fertilizes, and that's what I'm doing right now. Alright, so I'm going to move it and basically line it up behind that planter is the plan. Because that's backed in, this is backed in, and then they definitely won't be in each other's way, which is really how I should be storing things here, if I'm honest. And I want to avoid any wasted effort like this of repositioning equipment when I could instead be working. But that wasn't too bad, so we'll give ourselves a little bit of a slap on the wrist, and hopefully it'll sting enough that I'll remember. But I believe one of the reasons we got this auger was that this could run it, because normally I'm using the other tractor for planting, so I think we'll be okay here, but we'll know in a minute. We have 10,000 liters of fertilizer, so still over half of this wagon, so hopefully that'll be enough to get us through these 4 fields. And probably what I should do, because I definitely have gone several years now without needing this or feeling compelled to use this auger for something else, I should probably top it off at some point and keep it stored, you know, like it is now, or full. So either way, when I'm done with this harvest, I will certainly go and top it up, because obviously, as you can see, we're chewing up a good amount of fertilizer here. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and leave that just right behind here, because I won't be coming back quite the same way. And at this point, we are full, and we are ready to plant. After probably 15 minutes of farming gymnastics. Alright, so we're ready to go. We're ready to go forward. But the engine isn't started. Small things. I knew it was a little too quiet. And there we go. Spring, year 76. Welcome to barley. Alright, let's see what we're adding in here. 80 kilograms. So, not the worst, but certainly not the best. So, it shouldn't be too terrible. But whatever it is, we've got to deal with it. So yeah, we had a wet fall, which obviously caused us to lose some crop. We've got a, I don't know that I'd say we have a wet spring, because this is the last month of spring, and we're finally getting rain. I don't know that I've seen rain before, but it's about that time. So, one of the things you can let me know and comment down below is, should I start referring to the times as months? Because at the end of the day, we do have, with 3-day seasons, we have 12 time periods each year. So in theory, this could be March. And it might just be easier to refer to that as it's March on the farm, it's June on the farm, then it's late spring on the farm. But obviously it says late spring on the screen, so it might be just as easy to stick with farming simulator terminology. But let me know in the comments below if you think I should switch to months or stick with late spring and so forth. So for the reason you're seeing there, even with my EV traction, I'm having difficulty. I am going to run my couple headland passes up here so that I don't have to roll off and potentially get stuck. I don't remember if I turned it off. Yes, I did. Yeah, you can either turn it off or lift it, and kind of as the mood strikes me is what I do. And when I don't have the help menu up, obviously I don't really have any cue of what I did. I have to remember things in my little OP brain, and that doesn't always happen. Accurately, at least. I know I pressed a button, so I suppose I remember something. But rather than go forward, backward, every time because I suddenly realize my sower's not operating correctly and do it with trial and error, I'd rather do that. But typically when I have fertilizer, I end up using the B key just because I know that turns off everything, and then I don't potentially drop fertilizer out here in the grass and waste it, which is the reason for flipping the switch. Once you're on the field with precision farming, like now when I do the turnaround at the end, I don't need to use B because it will turn the fertilizer off when it senses it doesn't need it. Yeah, it's always a challenge with these headlands. Obviously I'm not going perfectly straight, so I've got little pieces that wobble in and out, and last thing I want to do is leave myself more work because I need to touch up something. It's just much more efficient to do this. It's nice seeing seeds leave the seeder at a pace that isn't insane. like we were seeing with our hemp, but we may still see that this year if I get to those other 3 fields, although I do have to, again, a mental note, and obviously my mental notes I've just explained don't always work, but I do need to determine if hemp makes sense instead of cotton. Because obviously if I go ahead and plant cotton in those fields, we know the seed usage was much more reasonable. So I may end up doing that. Well, we'll take a look. Yeah, it's interesting. This is really like spotty on the fertilizer map. I've got all these dots everywhere. I wonder if hemp also has a little bit of quirk to it like poppy does. Alrighty, so sorry for that gap in any kind of conversation. I was checking the time to make sure it might not be time to go up and work on the snow again. But I've got a few minutes that I can keep going. As I watch myself go to the edge here, I'm thinking that truck being where it is might not be great. It is across the street, but I kind of forget as I'm planting, it takes a little bit of room to turn. It's going to actually be in my way, but I'll probably work around it. Because I don't pull off the grass. Well, I may prove myself a liar here. No, I don't quite pull off the grass before I have to stop planting. But yeah, I can basically do something like this where I pull up and then back into the field if I need to. So it shouldn't be too bad because this isn't that long of an implement and it actually maneuvers relatively well as far as aligning itself back behind me pretty quickly. And I think that's partially because that seating portion behind the tanks is not free moving. It's not on any sort of a hitch that pivots. So it moves pretty quickly at that angle that far out from the hitch from the tractor. So yeah, I'll be heading toward that truck next time. So I'll keep going at this point to do that so you can watch that maneuver. But after that, I think I'm at the point where I'm going to leave you guys and come back where it makes sense, as always, because we've got lots and lots of work to do here. I think we started this field around 7:15. So as you can see, we're already 8 minutes in. We've got 3 passes and a couple headlands in that time. So we've got a ways to go, because these fields, if I recall properly, are about 30 rows wide. So I'm about 10% across this field right now. And at that pace, even if I take off a few minutes for the headlands, you know, I'm looking at about an hour for this field, which is about what I recall is the norm. I went a little further than I needed to, and now I'm struggling. But yeah, the farm is definitely tight. And I'm sure that's why some people like flat and open, because they just don't have to play with any maneuvering. But what fun is that? So yeah, knock on wood, the one thing I haven't experienced, at least not that I've clearly seen, is a drought that doesn't allow my crop to germinate. I've never had that happen in any gameplay I've ever had. My understanding from reading things is it is possible, but luckily I haven't had that disappointment. Yeah, so I wasn't entirely expecting anything vastly different when I did the soil sampling. Because if suddenly, like, the soil type shifted around or something a little bit, it would have been like, is it just like erosion moving the soil surface around? Or, but I think this is pretty much the same, because I was trying to remember as I was doing the sampling what the underlying soil under it looked like. And yeah, there was this sharper curve that went north-south a little bit here, and it's still there, so we're not learning anything new by doing what we're doing, or by resampling the soil. We're just getting the data back so that our equipment can function appropriately. Alright, so that wasn't actually that bad. So now that that non-event has occurred and there was nothing to see here for you, I'm gonna let you go, and I'll see you in a bit. Alrighty. So, just starting to rain again, and I've just finished planting barley and fertilizing in the 4 fields. So, heading back, putting everything away, and that's about all I can do for now. I've got to step away from it for a bit, but I'll take a look and see if I can make progress on some of the other fields later. As I said, I definitely have to lime, so I know that has got to be done on the other 3 fields. And I do have to, at some point, collect the wood chipper off of 97 before I do anything there. Again, more than likely, for certain, that's not something I'm going to capture on video, as I don't know that going up and driving back the wood chippers anything super exciting to watch, and not a whole lot to chat about at this point, other than if we continue to do any more logging work in the winter. Just have a few ideas, but not sure if I want to expand any space in that field down by 85, make it a little bit bigger. Field 93 came up for sale this morning, which is down the road here, but it's along the road's edge and south of Wild Moose Farms, so it would probably actually fit better with his farm than it would with mine, because I've got a couple fields in between that are strangely shapen that I likely would never want to use anyway, so I'm not interested in that one. And as I said, when one finally does come up of the 2 I'm looking for, I may still pass on it, because I'm definitely staying busy enough with what I have. So I think at this point I'm more in a wait and see till FS22 comes out. I don't know why this is not clearing up here on this arm. I suppose maybe it just hasn't been washed long enough that it's really, really, really dirty, but usually it doesn't take anywhere near that long, but it did finally go away, so yeah, maybe I just did a poor job of keeping up on cleaning that cedar. But I am glad I got everything planted. It's actually more than I thought I'd be able to do, and so I'm happy that I was able to find the time to get that done. Let's see. Yeah, that tractor is always really expensive to repair. I spent $1,500 on it after plowing, so it's been, $2,200 in repair and maintenance already in what I have, so it's definitely been an expensive piece of equipment, but again, it's one that I think purchase new would be, without the discount I had at the dealership and so forth, is like over $600,000, so I suppose $2,200 in repair a year or more, even $5,000 is still like less than 1% of the price of the vehicle, so it's probably appropriate, even though it's a lot. Alright. Well, that's what I've got for now. So I will see you next time. It might still be in this episode, or it may not. Bye.